Hi everybody. I have one more balancing one to show you, and this one is a difficult one. So if you were wondering what's a difficult one look like, this is an example of one. So on this one here we have iron, chlorine, potassium, manganese, oxygen, hydrogen, and chlorine. Iron, chlorine, potassium, manganese, oxygen, hydrogen, and chlorine. So I have 1 iron, 2 plus 1 chlorine, 1 potassium, 1 manganese, 4 oxygens, 1 hydrogen, and then, oops, I've already done chlorine, so I don't need another chlorine there. So you already catch your mistakes by doing that. On this side I have 1 iron, 3 plus 1 plus 2 chlorines, 1 potassium, 1 manganese, 1 oxygen, and 2 hydrogens. So there's my inventory. Now, I'm going to have you do this one on your own, but I'm going to give you kind of a helpful hint to help you recognize some of these things. Do you see that there's only one place on the reactant side where iron is located, and there's only one side that iron is located on this side? There's no subscript after the iron here, and there's not here. So they're basically already balanced. Whatever number I put in here, I'm going to put a star there, don't you guys do that, is going to be the exact same number that has to go there. Because if I made that a 3, I'd have 3 irons. This has to be a 3 irons, right? It has to be balanced, so that would have to be a 3. If you recognize that, that makes life a lot easier. The other thing I want you to recognize is whatever number I put in here, I'm going to label it with an X, has to be exactly the same number that I have to put there and the same number that I have to put there. It has to be. Okay? The reason for that is, again, if I make this a 2, I'm going to have 2 potassiums and 2 manganeses. Well, on this side, I also have to have 2 potassiums and 2 manganeses, so there would have to be a 2 there and a 2 there. So if you want, you can try this. Hit pause, because for those of you that run into trouble, in a couple of seconds, I'm going to give you a hint. I will give a little bit of a pause, and then I will give you a second hint. And by the time I do that, you should be able to balance this. And then at the very end, I will give you all the coefficients. Okay? So pause it if you don't want a hint. Okay, here is hint number 1 for those of you that need it. The first coefficient right there is a 5. Pause it if you don't want a hint number 2. Okay, here is hint number 2. So we already told you that's a 5. This is going to be a 1. So pause it if you don't want to know all the coefficients. All right, here's your answer. You should have had a 5, a 1, an 8, a 5, a 1, a 1, and a 4. So hopefully you got that. If you did, good job.